How's everyone doing? Start off by recapping the Tennessee game. Entering the week, we talked to the team about the three things that were necessary to win the game. And that was preparation, physicality, and precision. Like I said, to win a road SEC game in a challenging environment, and none of those things happened. They didn't. And we talk to our kids all the time about the differences between reasons and excuses, and at the end of the day, there is no excuse. We were outcoached, we were outplayed with 13 days to prepare. We need to, we can, and we will do better because our program and our fans deserve it. And as the head coach, it's my responsibility to make sure that happens, and it does. It falls squarely on my shoulders. This game and coaching in the SEC for about a year and a half now, in a lot of ways has been a humbling experience. I don't think you get to this point where I am without a certain level of success and a certain level of confidence. But this game and the SEC, it has a way of keeping you honest. And I think, you look at, this week with our game, and then you look across the board, and South Carolina beating Georgia, and some of the other things that happened, Texas A&M being 3-3, Kentucky coming off of a 10-win season and then being 3-3, that the margin of error in this conference is small, and it has been something that on a daily basis that I'm learning from and getting better when you're coaching against the best of the best on a weekly basis. Tyler, early, I think it was last week, asked me a very pointed question about the criticism and kind of some of the outside noise. I think it was more specific to the Auburn game than it was an overall critique of the direction of the program. And that's why I think Tyler's a good young aspiring writer, because it's a question designed to elicit an emotional response from me, because he understands my competitiveness and how those things kind of knife at you a little bit. And I made a tongue-in-cheek remark, and I said it wasn't going to affect my approach, because it doesn't. But at the end of the day, the people who know me best in this world, they do know that I'm a people pleaser, and nothing means more to me than to bring a consistently successful championship level program to Mississippi State. And every waking moment of my life is not spent with my family, is utilized in an effort to make it happen. And that's why makes losing games so difficult. Because of the investment, and it's not just a loss. It crushes your soul, and you never get over it. You learn to live with it. And there may be people that watch the game and they get mad and deservedly kind of point out some things, and they go on about their day and cut their grass and go to church and go out to have a meal and go on to their job. But for us, it festers, and I take the responsibility of running this program. Our 120 student athletes, our 40 staff members, our students, our administrators, our faculty members, and our great fans very seriously, and treat it with a sacred respect, and I'm doing it to the absolute best of my ability. I'm certainly not a Bible thumper by any means, but I am a man of God, and I do believe that I was led to this path at Mississippi State over other opportunities to achieve great things, and I remain steadfast in my belief that we are going to do it. Still have unbelievable support, obviously from my parents back home in Pittsburgh, my brothers and sisters. My brother lives in Minneapolis, and they're rocking the maroon and white in Western PA and in Minneapolis and supporting the Bulldogs. My wonderful wife and kids, who are part of the Starkville public school system. And you talk about investment, and my daughter's down on the field after the game with me. She's crying, because she's upset. Number one, because she understands football, and what Mississippi State means to her and what it means to me. And to have to stand there on the field and console your 18-year-old freshman daughter because she's crying. Not only that, because you hear a few fans, she's walking down and walking out of the stadium telling her that her dad sucks, and they were right. On this date, I did suck, but that's part of it, and the support you get from your family means everything, and certainly my wife, my boys, and her play a huge part in that. Our coaches, our players, our administrators, our boosters, our fans, our recruits. I can't tell you the number of times in the past 3 days that I've gotten a text, I've gotten an email, I've gotten a DM from Strange Brew Coffee House with an interesting gift of support. They're the best. from ex-players, from people on campus, and particularly our recruits who are committed. And I didn't even have to reach out to some of them. By the time I got, back to my phone and, on the way home, Coach Moorhead, we know you're a great coach. We know you got this. Just keep plugging away. And I'll talk to you guys about how I communicate with the recruits and their families on a daily basis, and kind of send a post-game, text message out to all of them yesterday. Within 5 minutes there were 15 responses talking about, and the message of it was, it's not apparent to people right away, because we live in an instant gratification society, that it takes time to build things special, and the process is occurring, and sometimes you can't see the forest through the trees, that it takes time and space to gain perspective. And, to a person, Coach, we believe in what you're doing. We see the long-term vision, and couldn't be more proud to have our son, be a part of this process. So, like I said, it takes time to build special things. I know it's obviously not apparent, with our performance on the field this week and against Auburn, but from a long-term thing, I couldn't be more excited. And I know for a fact, as I stand here, that it can and it will and it is going to happen. Our student athletes of the week for this past week were Tim Washington and Stuart Reese. From an injury standpoint, it's kind of the same guys. If you have any questions on anyone specific, I could get to that. Certainly looking forward to the LSU game. It is a whiteout game, so we do encourage the greatest fan base in the country to wear all white. A lot of events on campus this week, including SEC Nation, which will be here Saturday, and it is our only home game in the month of October. Moving on to this LSU squad, quite a lot to talk about there. Coach O, one of my favorites, 31-9 at LSU, 47-36 for his career, 6-0, number 2 in the country, presiding over a top 25 defense and a record-setting offense. Beat number 7 Florida at home last week by 14, which was their 24th double-digit win as LSU's head coach. The offense is coordinated by Steve Emsinger, coaching veteran, and Joe Brady is a pass game coordinator. Spread, RPO, heavy, vertical passing game. 52 points, 561 yards, 34-34 in red zone scoring opportunities, led by Joe Burrow, the transfer from Ohio State, who's just 2,100 yards, 25 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, and completing 80% of his passes. Obviously a guy that's in tremendous consideration for the Heisman Trophy. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, almost 500 yards rushing, 7 touchdowns, and then the 2 receivers, Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, both over 500 yards, and guys that will be playing on Sunday someday. Dave Randall, one of the best defense coordinators in the country, kind of doing what he does, 316 yards a game, 25th in the country, 91 rushing yards a game, 13th in the country. Number 18 is kind of their rush linebacker. Was in for a few games, was hurt, and then came back. Kalavon Chasen, 19 tackles, 4 for loss, 2 sacks, and you watch him rushing the passer at the end of that, Florida game. He's hell on wheels. I mean, that guy can get after the passer. He can play the run. Very dynamic. Linebacker number 6, Jacob Phillips, 44 tackles, 3 for loss, and a forced fumble, leading the team. And then Grant Delpit, consensus All-American, going to be one of the top draft picks in the country when he, eventually comes out. Greg McMahon is their special teams coordinator. They don't get real fancy with it. Edwards-Helaire, Stingley, and Avery Akins are the returners and the kickers, and they kind of use their athleticism, their speed, and their physicality. Don't try to mix it up too much. They're kind of simple in what they do, and they get after it. So, as always in this league, in this conference, you got the number 1 team in the country on this side. You got the number 2 team in the country on this side, and I think you got 3 more in the top 10. So when I talk about the margin of error being small on a weekly basis, it's about negligible this week, because there almost is no margin of error because of the way that they're playing. So we need to do a real good job game planning. We need to do a great job, practicing, and we got to call a great game, and our kids got to execute at a high level to have an opportunity to be the team of this caliber. Okay.
Questions? We'll start with Steve.
See a lot, big Pittsburgh theme today. Penguins and Pirates. Got Steelers win too. Steve.
Coach, we spoke post-game about the run game breakdowns. Going back looking at the film, you got the 7 sacks and the Kyle only getting 13 yards. What kind of went wrong offensive line-wise against Tennessee?
Yeah, we did something a little different. As a post-game film review, generally I go in, kind of go through the goals, pick out about 5 positive plays and 5 plays where we needed to improve, and then we go on and they watch it with their position coaches. But I ripped through about 35 plays with all the kids in the same room. So sometimes as a running back, you only hear the running back corrections and don't know what else is happening on the field. I don't want to say, there were some schematic things that we could have done a little bit better, but I mean, they didn't do anything out of the ordinary from what we had seen on tape. But I think we got to play with a little more physicality. We got to play with a little more strain, a little more finish. And going back, looking at maybe a couple more things to get Colin on the perimeter probably would have been something. If I'm pointing the thumb at myself, that we could have done a little bit better.
Joe?
How do you approach the quarterback situation this week? I know you kind of asked that post game too the other day, but with Garrett as well as he's kind of played lately, do you have an idea of who would be the starter this week already that you would share, or is it just kind of a wait and see thing right now?
No, yes, Garrett's going to start. Tommy's going to back him up. Based on kind of what we've seen the past few weeks, both guys kind of deal with injuries, but Garrett leading us over to the win over Kentucky, how I kind of come in at the end of the Auburn game and provide a spark, and did the same thing in Tennessee. And Tommy's still not being completely over some of his things right now. We just feel like Garrett's been playing, moving the ball well. He gives us a great shot.
Paul?
Coach, back to the running game question. How much of that have you seen on film? Obviously, Kylie got off to a great start, rushed for over 100 yards first 4 games, and the last 2 opponents have held him under 50 yards.
Yeah.
How much has that been related in your mind to the inconsistent passing game and teams just creeping up more in the box?
I don't think it's. I mean, that's a small part of it, but probably not as much. He's still, I think, over 600 and still averaging over 100 yards a game. And obviously, the last 2 games have not been up to standard. But that's going to happen. I mean, there were games at Penn State where we had arguably the best player in the country, and defense was doing some unique things to try to keep it capped down. But the difference was when that was happening, we were able to create explosive plays down the field with the pass game, and that's kind of something I've talked about in the past. When they are bottling up the run game, we have to find a way to take advantage of it and move the ball and create points in the other area. We had been doing that earlier in the year, and we had some shots down the field. We just, we weren't able to take advantage of them throughout the game.
Jay, we've talked about Isaiah Zuber being a dynamic guy. I know
Yeah.
you guys got him a little more involved this week with that reverse play. I think you
Yeah.
did it twice. And is there any effort to maybe get him a little more involved in it?
We are actually, Isaiah and I talked about it at team dinner yesterday, that, we go back and you look at the film, and there was a dig route thrown to him on 3rd down that we get through a little bit low, and his route could have been a little more defined. Another opportunity where the common person wouldn't see it, but it was an RPO handed off to Kylan where the corner knifed in, and we were supposed to throw a glance route to him, and he would have been wide open for a throw down the field. That was one of the plays that we reviewed. But, we looked at the total number of snaps, and I think he's 3rd behind Osiris and Dedrick in terms of, plays on the field. But, the other thing with the inconsistency of who's, not the performance, but who's been at quarterback, and having some of those guys rotate around. I guess short answer, we want to get Isaiah involved, but we also want to get, the other guys cranked up. But yes, he and I have had that talk, and we're making our best efforts to make sure that there are plays not just going to him but to his position.
Back to Steve.
Coach, began the game with kind of an ill-advised kickoff return there and got hemmed up inside the 10. And then the last time you touched the ball, a missed field goal there. Is there any consistency with some of these special teams failures? And then your evaluation, what's kind of happening with that unit?
Yeah, it was good to get the 51-yard field goal. That was good. I thought our punt and our coverage was better, but certainly the discussion we had with that kickoff, I think it may have caught our guys by surprise, because all week we had talked about there had not been a return kickoff. But we also wanted to fair catch anyone between the 5 and the 1, so we got to communicate better there. And then certainly that last field goal, you put it in there, then you have a chance to onside. But yeah, certainly need more consistency, Steve.
Danny?
Coach, you mentioned LSU quarterback Burrow being a Heisman type of guy. It seems like he's developed really quickly in a short amount of time. Just more of your opinions on him.
I think he played well last year. I think he's playing at a completely different level this year. Obviously with the the new system that they're running and some of the things that he's able to do. Making quick reads, making quick throws, and the receivers that he's thrown to, I think it's really, you've seen him elevate his game from a year span and take it to a new level. You always knew he was talented, coming out of Ohio State and coming down here, but I think, what they're asking him to do now fits his skill set very well.
The last couple of weeks, the offense have gotten off to a slow start, a lot of 3 and outs to start the game. I'm not sure how much that you script the plays and stuff, but how much can Garrett change that script up, or how much are you looking as yourself as a play caller to change up the script?
Yeah, one of the things that we chart is a offensive goal was first drive score, whether it be a field goal or a touchdown, and I think out of 6, I think we've hit it 2 or 3 with a touchdown or a field goal. We haven't done it the past few weeks, and The first call of the game, I looked back and took accountability for that because they had brought an edge pressure against that bunch formation that they hadn't shown all year, and that we weren't able to block that guy to tackle Kylan. But as you go through play by play, is it a call where the kids don't have a chance for success based on what it is and how they're playing it, or is it a call where you're giving yourself an opportunity, there's a lack of execution? And as we went through all those plays, we talked about as coaches, us taking accountability and making sure that we're calling a play that gives them an opportunity. And then when that happens, we've got to practice it enough times, not that they get it right so they can't get it wrong. So I think it's probably, combination of both things, but, it's something with the opening scripts that we've run over the years that have been pretty good.
We talked a lot about his heart and his determination, but Garrett came in, he was wearing a boot on his foot. So I guess the first question is, how healthy is he? But the second question is, he told us that he might not have even played in that game, or it was a real late decision to even have him active. What's that say about his heart and going forward? How confident are you that he can be a true QB1 to his team?
Yeah, I've kind of had it in my head, and for the past 3 years that he was going to be a guy that's going to be able to lead whatever program he goes to great things. And I think from the time he stepped on the field in the helicopter run, to everything that he does on a daily basis in terms of competitiveness and preparation, and quite frankly, performance, has earned the respect of his teammates. And I'm sure a lot of the question was asked based on how Tommy played in the first half, and Garrett came in and moved the ball a little bit. Why didn't Garrett start? And as you saw from him, like throughout the course of the week, neither were completely healthy, but Tommy was more healthy. And Garrett progressed as the week went along, and had the conversations with him on Thursday or Friday where he was at. And then by the time we got to Saturday, he felt good that he could go, but it hadn't been that case necessarily, leading up to that during the week.
But you brought Coach Adams in, the coach of defensive line. Just talk about him a little bit and what you've seen from him and his unit.
Yeah, Meridian native, means a lot for him to be home in the state of Mississippi. And I think what you're seeing from him is the ends. I think Chauncey played his best game of the year. I think Kobe did some real nice things. And Fletcher and Marquise are developing, but I think the biggest thing has been those young interior defensive linemen. I think Fabian played his best game of the year this past Saturday. We were fortunate to have Autry this week, so I think he did a nice job. And then Crumity, Cam Young, and we're developing Nathan Pickering as well, in addition to some of those other guys. But I think he didn't inherit a group with 4 returning starters and 3 draft picks. He inherited a group that lacked overall experience and needed to be developed, and I think he's doing a good job along those lines.
Jay, you've talked about prepping for games on the road and how it's different, but in the last couple of weeks, what do you think maybe has been the issue in coming out on the road games, and why is there anything you maybe point to that can be fixed?
I wouldn't necessarily attribute it to us being on the road. Obviously, Neyland Stadium is kind of a neat historic place, and the fans had it cranked up a little bit. But more than anything, we talk about controlling the controllables, and the venue's not one of them. So I think it's more an us thing than a where we're at thing.
Go Steve and Brian.
Coach, obviously, things with Tommy haven't gone to script with the injury and everything, and
It stinks.
obviously it's a difficult decision for you. How did you kind of communicate to him you're ready to make the change with Garrett? How difficult a decision was that?
No, Coach Brown communicated with Tommy what we're going to do, and I'll see him today and then later tomorrow. He swings by, but yeah, I think he understands that we got his best interest at heart, and obviously we talk all the time about decisions being made for the team first and the individual second. Tommy's, he's still going to play a valuable role for us, and I'm sure he'll be in the game again at some point. So, when you're not necessarily playing well, sometimes having played the position, it's good to kind of step away for a little bit, kind of gain a little perspective, watch from the sideline, and kind of take a breath, and hopefully helps him get completely healed as well. But I think in what we're doing is giving our team the best opportunity to succeed.
After the loss is one of the common things for you is we'll fix it. Are there issues with this team you feel like you can't fix at this late juncture in the season?
Can't fix along what lines?
That's the question, I guess. Is there an issue with this team that you feel like it just is what it is?
It's a general question, but I think there's certain things, you look at personnel wise, and, you know, you're playing with who's on your roster, who's in your 2 deep. I think schematically you can always, you know, make changes to, you know, maximize the strengths and minimize the negatives, but I don't think there's anything that necessarily can't change or can't be fixed. There's things that are more fixable than others, but I wouldn't say anything is, you know, beyond repair.
Where does Keaton Thompson stand in the quarterback situation, and is there a situation in which he might come onto the field at some point?
Yeah, he's third right now, still behind Garrett and Tommy. Obviously, you know, with those two guys playing, and KT still having a redshirt year, we're being very mindful of that as well. You know, and he hasn't played in one yet, so that plays a small part in it. But if he were to the point where playing him would you know, give us the best opportunity to win, we would. It's just not where we're at right now.
Steve?
Coach LSU always travels really well, and I'm sure they'll have a big contingent here, and you're probably gonna need Bob from Boca Chica in the crowd with his cowbell, so what's your pitch to get him and the rest of the Bulldog fans in the stadium Saturday?
Number 2 team in the country, best stadium in college football, and going to need a true home field advantage. So Bob and the rest of them out there, Andy from Ackerman and Will from West Point and Carl from Columbus, bring them all in, bring the cowbells, be loud, and come on in and cheer your Bulldogs on.
Anything else? All right.
I miss any cities? You get just about everything locally?
That's pretty good.
Louisville.
Basis.
Louisville?
Yes.
Lou from Louisville. All right, Hell State guys, have a great day.